22 LR versus 22 Magnum, and what we have today is our CCI Mini Mag and Maxi Mag ammunition. Now I've tested the Total Metal Jacket Maxi Mag and our 22 Magnum versus our round nosed copper washed 22 LR Mini Mag, but today what we have is the hollow points. Now those were both 40 grains in the round nose ones, and the Maxi Mag, our hollow point is still 40 grains, but our Mini Mag is 36 grains. So a little bit different weight, but that's the standard weight of those hollow points. 40 grain Maxi Mag 22 Mag versus our 36 grain 22 LR Mini Mag. So I'm going to run the Mini Mags through our Taurus, what is this thing? Oh, TX22, I just got it, forget the name. TX22, a 4.1 inch barrel, and I'm going to use our Ruger LCRX for our 22 Magnum. And the reason why I like to compare those is because our 22 Magnum 3-inch barrel versus a 4.1 inch semi-auto, according to ATF definitions, the chamber is included in the barrel travel. With the semi-auto, it is not in a revolver, therefore you get the same amount of barrel travel, same size guns. And for me personally, I feel like 22 LR is better in a semi-auto because you get more capacity. It's not particularly a super effective round, as where I feel like 22 Mag is more of a revolver cartridge. It is long like a revolver cartridge. It functions better in revolvers. So I think that's really, in my opinion, that's the best way to test those. So we're going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get at the same time, and then I'm going to do my 10% clear ballistic test. We're just going to go into plain clear ballistics to see what the best potential of those cartridges are, and then after that we're going to do more of a real world simulation. I'm going to have 4 layers of denim up on the first 3-inch piece here, which represents our pectoral muscle. Clear ballistics is half as dense as typical human flesh, so that's kind of like an 1.5 inch pectoral muscle. After that, we'll have a 1/4 inch medium density fiber board to represent hitting ribs or sternum, and we'll see how those bullets compare in more of a real world simulation. Then I'm going to hit my steel, see what kind of practical shootability and accuracy and all that I get. So let's get started with this test. All right, our 22 LR is rated at 1260 feet per second. Our 22 Magnum at 1875 feet per second, but that has no bearing on this because that's through rifles. So let's see what we get here with our 22 long rifle CCI Mini Mag hollow points. $1047, 1008, 1041, 1022, 1024, 997, 998, 1017, 1047. I just ran a few extra, because they are 22s and pretty cheap to buy. So our 22 Mag, rated at 1875. We're obviously not going to get anywhere close to that, but let's see what we actually get here. 1210. I always have problems with this revolver. I don't know if it's just my accuracy or if it's the lighting, but everything will read until I pull this thing out because there's a lot of flash and whatnot going on. 1279, 1262, 1228. So not great velocity, but it is a 40 grain, so I suppose that'll do. Let's hit our ballistics gel block with these and see how they compare. All right, the plain clear ballistics. Let's see what our 22 long rifle does. All right, let's hit that with our 22 Mag. Let's go take a look. All right, so some pretty surprising results in a way, just because that stretch pattern there with our 22 long rifle is just really, really big. I don't know if that indicates tumbling or what that really indicates. Going in our first 3 inches, they both look about the same. It looks like we have a little bit more consistent along the path damage with our 22 Mag, but our 22 LR, it just made a lot of damage there for whatever reason. But what we're looking at here is a penetration with our 22 long rifle of about 12 1/4 inches. So that's pretty acceptable. Now with our 22 mag, it's a little more ideal. We're looking at about 14.5 inches of penetration. I don't see any indication of expansion, which I didn't really expect with that velocity only being about 1200. But they both are pretty acceptable. Now let's put on our denim and put our MDF in there for our rib simulation, because that's usually where things start to go a different direction with, you know, whether they're acceptable choices or not. So let's try that. All right, 22 long rifle through 4 layers of denim, 3 inches of clear ballistics, a 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard. So let's see how our 22 long rifle does. All right, did I hit that? I hit that, but you know, there's a part of that block that kind of bows up from melting weird. Let me hit it again. 22 long rifle, a little bit higher. All right, so we're seeing something consistent there. 22 mag. Let's see what this does. Ooh. All right, I got to hit that again as well, because it went through a piece of metal there that's holding my fabric in place. So I gotta go just a little bit lower. All right, I'm screwing up a lot today, so I gotta do it one more time because it went too high. Went out of the block. All right, let's go take a look at that. All right, so a lot going on here. That first shot, we can see with our second shot with our 22 long rifle, you know, what was going on. It's consistently curving downward, and it looks like it curved down and just went underneath that block. And yeah, here's our bullet. Just sitting there, very mangled, and that's what, you know, ribs will do to a 22 long rifle bullet. It's interesting here because with our 22 mag, it seems like we got a lot of different results. Yeah, our first result, it curved down, and can't really take that at face value because I hit this piece of metal here that I use for keeping this here. Pretty good metal. Didn't actually go through it, it just kind of bent the edge. But what we have here with our 22 long rifle, I'm going to take this at face value, and let's take this out and take a look here. Our LRs are down here and our mags are up here. Our 22 LR, just shy of 9 inches. So pretty subpar. It's interesting though, this one went fine, but the reason why is because the second shot through went through the MDF where already went through. When we went through the MDF right here by itself, what we're seeing is by the time it hits this, it was tumbling. So that's something to take into consideration, because, you know, it's gonna tumble if it's a long bullet like that and it's not really stabilizing in a handgun. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad choice, but yeah, we only got about 8.25 inches of penetration. So that did a lot of damage, but not particularly ideal. So I would say in this particular test, you're looking at this, I would say the 22 long rifle is a little more consistent and predictable through a handgun. As where our 22 mag, it might start tumbling and do some weird things. So let me shoot the steel and see what kind of practical shootability I can get with these. All right, so taking a close-up look at these bullets here, you can definitely tell a difference here. This one's kind of a total metal jacket, but it's a hollow point total metal jacket. You know, it's got actual thick copper on there. Our 22 LR, you know, it's just copper wash, so it strips most of that off in firing, and you don't see a huge difference there. A typical ballistic tester would say, you know, that's the difference is no differences, but here's where things change a little bit. When we go through that medium density fiberboard rib simulation, you know, this deformed a little bit with our 22 mag because it has some thick copper on it. You know, it's not quite a jacket, but it's a thick enough plating. It's real tough. It did bend a little bit, but it stayed together. Now with our 22 long rifle here, you can see how soft these are. You know, even with that much less energy, that thing just mangled up into a little chunk here. You know, this is one of the reasons why cops never carry 22. There's other reasons, but you know, a lot of people don't think about it, that 22s actually have very soft bullets. They don't have the technology of a typical center fire or even a rimfire Magnum. They're just lead heeled bullets, and they deform quite a bit. So really a big difference there overall when you look at them. I think, you know, both would do. It's hard to say which would do worse. This one penetrated a little bit less through MDF, but it is a little wider, and it was tumbling, so it's a little wider than our LR. But our LR went a little bit deeper. So in terms of terminal ballistics, I think they're pretty similar. All right, so I'm going to be 10 yards from the muzzle here. So just want to see how they shoot here for just practical shootability. Here's our 22 Magnum. All right, that's the first time I've ever had that happen. I short stroked that LCR trigger. I typically don't do that. And I've seen semi-auto shooters do that a lot, but I did that for the first time. All right, let me go for headshots real slow, see how this stuff is for accuracy. It looks like it's shooting above the target for me. That's just me. 22 LR, let's see what this does. All right, so that shoots really nice, real fast. Let me back up a little bit. I've been liking doing this up close stuff. It's more practical, but I want to see if I can hit from a little distance. These seem pretty accurate rounds. Seem like pretty accurate rounds. All right, I'm back 40 yards from the target. I figured I'd just do some dickin' drills just for the fun of it. Not exactly, but I'm going to try to put 10 rounds down range in a certain amount of time. I'm not even going to keep track. You guys want to keep track for me, that's fine. I just want to see how these will shoot if I try to land some shots pretty quickly. So 22 mag, 40 yards. So I dropped a round. I don't know if I even hit because I shoot kind of fast. But let's see what our 22 does. 22 LR. All right, definitely missed some there, but you know, it's easy to sling those rounds out there pretty quick, and that really is kind of the advantage of the 22 long rifle. You know, it's not very effective when you compare it to centerfire cartridges if you actually have to physically stop a threat. But if it's not an actual physical stop where those shots are moving, the presence of the gun is out, or you know, somebody's hit that you know you're shooting back and forth with, they might make a decision that that's something they don't want a part of, and you can actually win a gunfight with a 22 in that regard. But there's a reason why cops don't carry 22s, because when they're trying to arrest somebody that's wanted for murder or something, they're going to go down fighting, and you could put, you know, 12 rounds of 9mm on them, and that won't even stop them. But what I'm seeing here is that both of these are definitely subpar. I'm kind of seeing a consistent thing though with this ammo, is that when we talk about the 22 mag, it's really meant for a rifle. I'm putting this revolver. What I'm seeing here is I am seeing a very far discrepancy apart between rifle and handgun when it comes to this ammo. Like, it didn't really perform that well at all. Like, the type of powder in it is just really meant for a rifle, and everything that's happening when it's in a handgun is kind of bad. It's not really performing that well at all. As with our 22 long rifle, there's a lot less distance there between what I think the performance you'd see out of a rifle versus a handgun is, and it seems to be more like typical handgun performance, handgun thermal ballistics. You see some expansion through the rib simulation. You see, you know, it just shoots like a handgun cartridge. It doesn't really tumble too much. So, and in all this regard here, I'm going to say, if I had to pick one of these, not the caliber selection in and of itself, but the ammo, I'm going to say that 22 long rifle was a little bit better here in its performance than what the 22 mag was, because it was hitting every bit as much needed penetration as the 22 mag, but it was doing it at half the recoil and nearly triple the capacity. When you're talking about kind of the traditional forms that these come in, you know, most people are going to use this in a revolver. I know some people are going to start talking about that M&P pistol or the Kel-Tec. Reliability is questionable there. I didn't have any reliability issues with this, with 22 long rifles, so I'm going to stick to my platforms. But I'm going to say, though, the Mini Mag, decent, not great, decent. The 22 Mag, not so great in this handgun. So that's what you get today. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.